Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. All right, folks, let's go to our next story. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, an independent, has announced he is running for president in 2020. Here is some of the video that he released.
The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration.
We are not going to retreat on women's rights.
Sanders pushing a bold agenda that includes protecting DACA recipients and comprehensive immigration reform.
You don't rip little children away from the arms of their mother.
A major announcement from Amazon. Amazon will raise its minimum wage to $15 an hour. 350,000 workers.
Thousands of workers at Disney World will get raises. It's a victory for Bernie Sanders.
It's a victory for all workers.
Wow. All right, folks. Of course, Senator Sanders ran in 2016. Lots of support there. Lost to Hillary Clinton. But here's the other piece here, and I'm going to go to my panel in just a second. Of course, he chose a number of people who have jumped into the race so far. But remember, the Democrat National Committee also changed their rules. And that is Bernie Sanders is going to have to sign documentation saying he is a Democrat. I'm going to start with you first, Julian. And that is there are a lot of people. First of all, Senator Sanders had significant support. There were a lot of people who were angry saying, wait a minute, how are you telling the Democratic Party what to do when you're not even a Democrat? So you have that. But also, he had some black support in 2016, but he really ignored black folks in a significant way, did not really focus on African Americans until after Iowa and New Hampshire, and he was really behind and got obliterated by Clinton in those southern states because he did not have an established black outreach plan for African Americans. Your thoughts on him getting into this race?
You know, Leah Daughtry, who was the manager of the 2016, also the 2008 Democratic conventions, has really talked a lot about the fact that the man is not a Democrat. He didn't follow Democratic Party rules. He just kind of parachuted in there, took advantage of the opportunity, you know, some of Hillary's weaknesses, amassed a lot of delegates. Okay, but you are not a Democrat. So yes, the Democratic Party has done the right thing by saying, if you want our nomination, you're going to have to be a Democrat. Stop playing this footsie immigration, independent stuff. The other thing about it is he really, although he has had great black support, Gus Newport, who used to be the mayor of Berkeley back in the day, Danny Glover, my homeboy, friend and colleague, folks like that, Cornel West, they supported him, but these are folks who are 30,000 feet up. They're not on the in the grassroots in terms of organizing. And so from that perspective, their endorsements meant something, but it did not translate into street heat. People liked his ideas and had antipathy for Hillary, but with the new crop of candidates, Kamala, Cory Booker, you know, Amy Klobuchar, the shine is off him. He's not, and last time it was novelty campaign. This time it's like, okay, old boy, sit down. That's what I'm saying. I know that's a little ageist, but I just really think he needs to sit down.
But here's the piece. Here's the piece you have here. Malik, Democrats absolutely want to beat Donald Trump. And they're asking the question, who's the best person who can? In 2016, it was three candidates. Hillary Clinton, Senator Bernie Sanders, and Martin O'Malley.
Well,
and really he didn't.
Jim Webb was in,
but really it was just two. Yeah. This time, you're literally going to have, right now you have 10. You may have as many as 15. Democrats are preparing for as many as 20 candidates. This is a different ball game because not only this, the key, which I think works in Bernie Sanders' favor, you're not going to need 51% to win.
Yes.
You could very well see somebody winning a caucus or a primary with 28 or 30% of the vote. Your thoughts about Senator Sanders jumping into the race?
Absolutely. I actually think that Bernie still has a chance. If you look at the platform that the Democratic Party has taken since 2016, you know, they pretty much have, well, I won't say pretty much, they have followed in some ways many ways, the Bernie Sanders playbook as far as just the things that, well, you can call it progressivism or socialism or whatever you want to call it, but the party itself has actually taken that left tilt. And Bernie, I think Bernie in many ways is responsible for that. To your point about the number of people in the campaign, I think it's awesome. I think it's great. You know, just like last time around, I think we had about 15 or so candidates. Whittle it down, Donald Trump ended up becoming the candidate, the nominee. I think that same thing happening on the Democratic side is very good. You know, for people like me who was a Democrat in 2016, you know, I knew that Hillary Clinton was not an option. So I did see someone like Bernie coming along. He really did excite a lot of people who had decided that they would under no circumstance support Hillary Clinton. I think you're going to have some of those same people now still gunning for Bernie, but when you have all of the people that you said, you know, and don't, you know, I think we just heard something about Joe Biden is still maybe considering entering the race. I think it's going to be interesting. But a point about Kamala Harris is that I think what I heard on the way here is that within 4 hours, Bernie Sanders raised more money than Kamala Harris did in her first, 24 or 48 hours. So although people are kind of dismissing Bernie, I wouldn't hold him out. I wouldn't dismiss him so easily.
Look, here's the deal, Cleo. Senator Bernie Sanders, out of all the candidates who are running, he begins with a national donor base.
$14 million.
It's new, and it's new and fresh. But here's the deal. What I also understand, Cleo, that it's always not about money. I go back to Senator Phil Gramm when he ran for president, spent a ton of money, and I think he got one delegate. John Connally, who was governor of Texas.
Right.
Governor of Texas. Tons of money, didn't get much. Governor Jeb Bush in 2016, same thing.
Yep.
The difference this time around is that the sheer number of candidates and the map is different. It's no longer Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina. Early voting in California will have started before the folks vote in Iowa, Cleo. And so we're looking at a totally different landscape in 2020 than we did in 2016. Cleo, go ahead.
I was going to mention before you said it that, or you implied it, that I don't care how much money Bernie Sanders raised, he's seen as a hippie that's kind of over the hill. I agree with Dr. Malveaux in terms of the shine being off of him, but I don't think his goal is to be president. I think his goal is to do what he kind of did when Hillary ran, was being influenced, to be a so-called progressive force in the context of running for presidency, and the people that will win will be able to say, or somebody will conclude that Bernie was an influence in terms of wages, etc. I don't believe he plans on being president, and I'm also not surprised at all he raised so much money. I mean, he is a white man in the United States of America. So I mean, they tend to.
But Kamala raised a lot of money within 48 hours. So
but not as much.
But she's not Bernie.
My point was, let me finish my point real quick, because I'm really literally milliseconds from being finished. Is that I understand that Kamala raised so much money, but you also make the point, Malik, that not as much money as Bernie did, and that's my point. And because he has a certain level of optical privilege and initial impulse privilege, but when the dust clears, I don't think he has a chance.
You know, it's really interesting that Biden is, I think he's going to get in, and I think that Biden can raise and outdo anything that Bernie can do. Yep. And the question really becomes for Democrats, frankly, who can beat 45? And as we parse through this, a white man is likely to be the one. I mean, I hate to say that. I'd love for, you know, a woman or a person of color, a black person really, to be the nominee. But I think that, you know, given the demographics and the resistance to demographic shifts, that Biden is one who can trump Bernie in a heartbeat.
No. Here's. Let me say this here, and this is the most, and this really is, and I understand your point, but the fact of the matter is this here: age is going to be a factor. Oh, yeah. Joe Biden, 76. Bernie Sanders, 77. Running a national campaign, traveling around the country. Yes, Donald Trump is obviously 72, who's running. But the real thing here, though, is that when you run for president, it reveals something else about you that a statewide campaign does not. it's a different animal. 2016, many people felt the top two candidates who were going to emerge, the top three candidates were going to be Governor Jeb Bush, Governor Tim Pawlenty, Governor Scott Walker. The first two people to drop out, was Tim Pawlenty and Scott Walker. And so what you're looking at here is going to be different constituencies. Amy Klobuchar, Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Cory Booker,
Elizabeth Warren.
Will Senator Sherrod Brown get in the race? Senator Elizabeth Warren. You have the mayor, I forgot his name right now, of Notre Dame, the governor of Washington State. You got a lot of different people who are running. And so the question then becomes, what kind of campaign do you put together? How do you connect? Can Joe Biden explain his support for the 1994 crime bill that he wrote? Can he explain his close ties with the financial sector in Wall Street and the credit card companies, being the senator from Delaware? And so it's so many different things. And the beauty of running, you got to prove it. Nobody's going to hand this to you. You're going to have to run, and you got to prove it. And so we'll see what happens. It's going to be fascinating. I do believe, though, that I think 4 more candidates are going to jump in. I still believe only 14 to 15 are going to run. I'll be shocked if it gets to 20. But what then happens if Beto O'Rourke runs? And so it's a whole lot of stuff. Guess what? We got about 15 months to talk about all of that. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, here's a word from one of our partners, the International Pastors and Leadership Conference, where thousands of entrepreneurs, leaders unite from all across the globe on April 25th through 27th in Tampa, Florida. Over the span of 3 days, you will glean deep insights on how to catalyze the greatest impact in your enterprise at this highly anticipated leadership conference. Now, whether you're a CEO or an attorney, get ready to elevate your effort to impact people, processes, and workflow, investments, marketing and advertising, communication, and more. The International Pastors and Leadership Conference will equip you to make a positive impact in today's cross-generational environment. Bishop T.D. Jakes, of course, the founder and visionary of the International Pastors and Leadership Conference, will lead this year's leadership conference. Joining him is a phenomenal team of thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs who are called to change the world. Folks, you should be there. It's taking place at the Tampa Convention Center, again, April 25th through the 27th. It's inspired by Bishop T.D. Jakes' New York Times bestselling book, Soar, Build Your Vision from the Ground Up. The International Pastor and Leadership Conference will expand upon leadership and entrepreneurship strategies, among other themes. And now here's some of the speakers: Bishop T.D. Jakes, Corey Anthony, Pastor Teray Roberts, Pastor Craig Groeschel, Robert Brown, Bishop Dr. Pat McKinstry, Cynthia Marshall, Bishop Walter Thomas, Brett Fisher, Dr. Anita Phillips, Pastor Miles McPherson, Bishop Noel Jones, Reverend Tony Lee, Dr. Antipas Harris, Marquise Boone. Here's how you can register. Go online at pastorsandleaders.org, pastorsandleaders.org, or text PL now to 28950. Again, text PL now to 28950. You can also call 1-800-BISHOP-2. That's 1-800-BISHOP-2. Again, Bishop T.D. Jakes, the International Pastors and Leadership Conference, taking place in Tampa, April 25th through 27th. We certainly appreciate Bishop T.D. Jakes putting his money where his mouth is and being one of the partners right here for Roland Martin Unfiltered. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.